Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that unless she extends a personal invitation and accepts my live-in partner as family, that I will not attend her wedding? We are 10 years past the initial hurt, where I had an affair which led to divorce. My ex-husband has never moved on, never really dated, and very frankly, never gotten over the end of the marriage. I was wrong then, but for the right reasons, if that makes any sense. Neither of us were happy and our kids were suffering for it. My daughter is 27 now, and while she's done her best to get along with my live-in, neither of the kids see him or his kids as family. She's getting married in December, and her dad has said that it would be too much for him for my live-in to be at the wedding. Please recall that the initial hurt was 10 years ago. It is not my fault that my ex is not over it. My daughter has said that my live-in is not invited to her wedding, and while her dad has not given her an ultimatum, she wants him to be comfortable. To me, this is ridiculous. My live-in has been part of her family for 10 years. He has loved and provided for her in every way he can. I have told her that she needs to extend to him a personal invitation as a member of the family or I will not attend. My daughter exploded on me when I told her this yesterday at our weekly family dinner. And I have not slept in almost 36 hours because I am so upset. To help me find some clarity, am I the a-hole for making the demand I did? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. If she doesn't want him there, that's her choice. It's her wedding. For you to not attend because she doesn't want your live-in there is childish behavior. You aren't even referring to him as stepdad, and that says a lot. Just because you shacked up with another guy doesn't mean your daughter needs to pretend that his family and your family are family. That's some Brady Bunch fairy tale right there. You only stand to ruin your relationship if you don't attend. That's on you if you want to do that. Make an adult decision and the right one as a parent. She obviously wants you there, at least. We aren't married. If we get married, then I sacrifice what I am owed from my husband's military retirement. You can't be for real. You cheated with another man. Then you screwed over your husband by taking a portion of his retirement benefits? No, I lost those in a divorce. The Air Force pay what are called survivor benefits. After he dies, I am entitled to half of what his retirement would be. Lol. And why are you entitled to the money of the ex-husband that you cheated on? After you die, you are entitled to a one-way trip to somewhere extremely hot, so make sure you pack light. The law says I am. If this is the hill you want to die on, you can miss your daughter's wedding. She'll know what you prioritize. Time doesn't absolve you of guilt. You cheated and shattered your family. That's never gonna change. She won't pick you over her father. You gave her an ultimatum. He didn't. You're the a-hole. Edit from one of Opie's comment, she and the live-in are not married because she doesn't want to lose access to the retirement benefits owed to the man she cheated on. Opie, you are a vile and entitled goblin. Gotta bleed a victim for everything is worth. So nasty. Opie's a piece of work. You're the a-hole. I've read your comments. You seem to be self-righteous, entitled, and self-centered. You had no right to make that demand. That is your daughter's wedding, not yours. It is up to her and her fiancé to determine the guest list. She does not need to invite your live-in, whatever he is. Back in the day, live-in meant housekeeper. For that matter, she doesn't need to invite you. For people my age, live-in is a term of respect for a non-married partner. Maybe in your area, but where I'm from, it's a fair partner. And I have a child your daughter's age, so it's not about age and respect. It's about you not accepting and living up to the damage you caused. And now you think your ex, who you are still using, should be perfectly fine seeing you and your affair partner at his daughter's wedding? Seriously? You haven't even let your ex off the hook by getting married. Of course he can't get over it. You still have claws in him. You act very entitled. Time does not erase your actions. And until you completely let go of your ex, no time has passed for him. Your affair partner does not deserve any respect in this situation. Neither do you. You're the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for chucking my sister and her now fiancé out of my wedding reception? Me, 25 female, and my husband, 27 male, got married 3 years ago. A little backstory. I'm the youngest of 3. My older sister married 27 female and older brother 30 male. 3 years ago, in 2019, me and my husband got married. We got married in our local church and booked a luxury reception for after. We were both super excited about it as it was often fully booked and we got one of the last slots available. It all started at one of our family dinners. Mary's boyfriend John pulled me aside and asked if he could propose to Mary at my wedding reception. From the off, I knew I didn't want anyone to take the spotlight from me and my husband, so I denied his request. John was disappointed but understood and didn't bring it up again. I, later that day, spoke to my husband and he agreed with me on not wanting him to propose. Skip to a week before the big day. I went to Mary's house to talk to her about the wedding prep. Looking back, John seemed very interested in our conversation. We got onto the topic of the fancy reception that I had booked. John kept asking questions all about it. He requested to look around it before the big day, so I gave him the address and didn't think anything more of it. He went the next day and after texted me, which he never does. It's perfect for the big moments. This struck me as odd, but I brushed it off and assumed he meant the speeches, first dance, etc. I had more important things to worry about, so I didn't think twice about it. Finally, the big day came. The ceremony was perfect and everyone was buzzing for the beautiful evening to come. We arrived at the reception and it was decked out. Fairy lights lined the roof and big curtains draped over the windows. The atmosphere was exactly what I had hoped for. We got straight to the traditional speeches, cake cutting, first dance. The night was going amazingly. Me and my husband then snuck out for a golden hour photo shoot on the gorgeous balcony. When we got back to the main party, I noticed a commotion. People gathered around the dance floor as Mary and John were dancing. Then the music cut out, and John reached into his pocket, took out a small box, and got down on one knee. I burst through the crowd, grabbed the ring box, and marched to the door, followed by my husband, John, and Mary. I stood at the door and announced to John, "You asked me if you could do this," and I said no. No one ruins our day, as I grabbed my husband's waist and pulled him close. I opened the door and said, "If you can't follow one simple request, then you can't stay here. Leave." I held out the box as he grabbed and stormed out. Mary followed behind. My mother called me an a-hole for kicking them out over something so small, whereas my older brother totally understood why I did it along with my husband. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. A wedding is for the bride and groom, not someone staged to propose. It's highly inappropriate and immature. I'm glad you and your husband stood your ground. I'm glad your brother has your back. I've seen it tastefully done once, and the bride was in it from the beginning. During the bouquet toss, the bride turned around and gave hers to her sister as the significant other knelt behind her. It's ridiculous that the mom can't conceive why Opie's upset. See, if it's something the bride and groom are okay with, then that's something completely different and can be added memory to their special day. But yeah, the fact the mother can't see how it's a prick move is weird. Not the a-hole. It was your day and your sister's fiancé was disrespectfully ignoring the fact that you didn't consent to his proposal on your day. I know hindsight's 20/20, but you should have warned your sister about his planned proposal and shadiness about your venue so he doesn't try to pull a stunt. Just curious, was your sister mortified by her boyfriend's actions, as I would be, or was she mad at you for ruining her engagement experience? She's angry at me for ruining her day, even though it was literally my wedding. But I announced my pregnancy at her wedding for payback. I like your pettiness. You know, we need the story now. Keep your eyes out. That story will be up in a few days. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my niece and leaving her with a stranger instead? I, female 24, am an aunt to my 1-year-old niece Ava. My sister and brother-in-law live close to me, so I babysit for them sometimes. They don't pay me, but I'm happy to do it anyway. On Friday was their anniversary and they asked me 3 weeks in advance if I could babysit. I provisionally agreed because I had nothing else planned. My plans changed, however, when some of my old college friends told me they were stopping by my town on Friday. I haven't seen them in nearly 3 years and really wanted to see them. I gave my sister 5 days notice that I could no longer babysit on Friday and that she should make other arrangements. She didn't respond to the text, but she read it, so I assumed it was okay. On Friday, however, sister stopped by my house with Ava. I was confused and asked why she was here, and she told me she was leaving Ava with me as originally planned. I said again I was busy, and she replied that family's more important than my silly college friends, and I should step up to my responsibility as an aunt. Before I could protest, she bolted back to the car where brother-in-law was and they drove off, leaving Ava with me. I tried to call her after she left, but she had her phone off and none of my calls went through. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't leave Ava alone, but I also didn't want to cancel my plans. There are no other family members who live near me. However, I do have a friend, Jade, who lives nearby. She is good with kids and does babysitting as a side hustle. I called her and explained the situation, even offering to pay her to look after Ava, but she was understanding and said she'd do it for free. I thanked her profusely and dropped Ava off. I texted my sister to say I'd left Ava with Jade and to collect her from her house. It's relevant to the story that neither sister nor Ava know Jade personally. My sister didn't respond immediately, but after about 2 hours, she started spamming my phone. I turned my phone off as I was already out by that point anyway. They picked up Ava later that evening and she was perfectly happy. However, my sister and brother-in-law are furious at me for dumping Ava with a stranger, even though they know Jade is a trusted friend of mine. They accused me of endangering my own niece. Many other family members have sided with them and I've been getting angry texts all weekend. I really don't know what to think. I felt like I acted as best as I could given the circumstances. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Yes, your sister asked you 3 weeks in advance, but 5 days is plenty of warning that you wanted to change plans. The fact she didn't call you back or try to negotiate with you and just dropped your niece off and ran isn't funny or cute. She's the parent, and her kid is her and her husband's responsibility, not yours. Welcome to parenthood. She seems to be confused on this point. You don't owe her free babysitting. At all. Her antics of drop and dash, and then triangulating other family as flying monkeys to guilt trip you, are childish, selfish, and disrespectful. So for the foreseeable future, no matter what, when she asks you to sit, tell her no. Make her reach out to other mommy friends, get into a babysitter co-op, or gasp, her husband's family or friends can step up. Only offer to take your niece when you want to see her at your convenience, or be available as a sitter in a true emergency, like a hospital or funeral home is involved. But other than that, she needs boundaries and consequences for her nonsense. Give them to her. Not to mention sister dropped Ava off after being told she wouldn't babysit. Let's call it what it is. Sister abandoned Ava. And OP should call police and CPS if/when she does it again. Not an a-hole. Please text back. I did you a favor not calling the police when you dropped off your child knowing I was about to leave the house. Next time, I'll just call the police so your child won't be traumatized by being babysat by one of my friends. As for your family, I would send a group text. I had plans on X night. My sister showed up with her baby. I said I couldn't watch her, and my sister drove off, then shut off her phone. What my sister did was reckless. Her child isn't luggage. She's a person. If anyone thinks it's okay for her to drop her child off when you tell her you can't watch her and then shut her phone off, I'll let her know. That way, you guys can always make sure your plans are free, knowing she can come by at any time, and then shut off her phone so you can't reach her in an emergency. You've worded this really nicely. I haven't really responded to any of my family yet because I don't have the energy. But when I do, I'll definitely consider using some of these points. And I did in fact consider calling the police. If Jade had not been available, I probably would have, because I'm sick of being walked on by my sister and yielding to her demands. I'll make it clear that in the future, I will take a harsher approach. Thanks. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not canceling dinner with my son's former best friend, her fiancé, and her daughter? My son Jacob, 20, was best friends with Emma, 21, from kindergarten through 8th grade, 5 to 14 years old. Emma had a bad home life and practically lived at my ex-wife's houses. She was a very kind, smart, driven, and well-behaved kid, and we loved having her over. Both my ex-wife and I considered her to be the daughter we never had. In the middle of 8th grade, Jacob asked Emma out, and she ghosted him. We still helped her out by driving her to and from school. We lived almost 5 miles away from their school, and if we didn't drive her, she'd have to walk. Giving her lunches and sending her home with another meal after school against Jacob's wishes. Emma was removed from her parents' custody in the summer between 8th and 9th grade, and we haven't seen or heard from her since. I will admit that both my ex-wife and I were a little heartbroken because she was practically a 4th child to us. I moved last year to a city maybe 4 hours away from my old house. I was at a grocery store on Friday and Emma was there. We started talking and it sounds like she's doing very well for herself. She is in school to be a nurse and is a teaching assistant at a preschool in the meantime. She has also a 2-year-old daughter and is engaged. I told her I'd love to catch up and invited her over for dinner the following day. She said she'd have to make sure her fiancé could stay with her daughter, but we traded numbers and she texted me that day saying she could come over. At dinner, she apologized for what happened with Jacob and explained that he had been harassing her for months before asking her out and was too scared to say no. It does make sense looking back, because that year she was always very on edge and started to keep a distance from Jacob. Nothing ever happened at the house, so I assumed it was a problem with home and hormones. She's coming again this Sunday with her daughter and fiancé. Jacob called me today and said he's going to visit this weekend. His school is only a 90-minute drive from my house. I said, okay, and told him that I ran into Emma the other day and that she's going to come for dinner with her daughter and fiancé on Sunday. He told me to cancel the dinner because he was still mad about 8th grade, then proceeded to call her a loose woman for having a kid at 21. I said I won't cancel dinner, and that I heard her side of the story, and I think he's in the wrong and I can see why she ghosted him. Jacob said either I canceled dinner or he won't visit. And when I said I won't cancel dinner, he called me a crappy dad for taking her side and hung up on me. Now I want to know if I was the a-hole. Nope, not the a-hole. If he can't get over a rejection from nearly a decade ago and from middle school, the problem lies with him. Not the a-hole. Your son is still upset about a crush from middle school and is projecting his anger onto you. I am very concerned about the fact that he issued an ultimatum, which removes all possibility of compromise. He asks you to choose between rejecting him and accepting her or vice versa. Ultimatums like this leave no room for compromise and suggests he may need some emotional growth, and he may need assistance. I'm going to ask his mom to try to talk some sense into him. I mean, you probably don't even need to ask her. Just tell her the details of the conversation as a whole, and I'm betting since you were both fond of Emma, she will see his behavior is messed up and will address it. I'm glad you're not permitting this stuff. If you'd known about it when he was younger, then that might be the only scenario where you'd be the a-hole. But you're doing a good job at handling it in this case, I think. Not the a-hole.